Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News for Saturday night live stream. Hope everyone is having a beautiful day. It's been nice and sunny where I'm at. Looks like we've got plenty of people already waiting in the chat. You guys know who's here tonight, right? We've got Pamphlet Anon and Radix Verum, both from Patriot Soapbox. It's a PSB weekend, all weekend. Let's see. I want to just say hello to some people here in the chat. I do see several familiar faces. There's my buddy LJ. There is TikTok. We've got some Patriots from South Carolina. TikTok, we're going to get to it, buddy. Don't worry. We're going to get to it. Another Charleston, South Carolina. Minnesota checking in. Let's see. Who else is here? From Neath in Wales, UK. That's great. Glad to see you here. Let's see. Treasure Coast of Florida. Hi from Virginia. And let's see, Florida, another Floridian, Texas, Tisco, Texas, I don't know what that is, maybe Frisco, Connecticut, Bradenton, Florida, New Jersey, Michigan, Idaho, Las Vegas, Wales, excellent, New Jersey, Marathon, Wisconsin, Montana, St. Louis, Michigan, gotta get my peeps from Michigan in here, Springfield, Missouri, Southern California, Nevada, Kentucky, Mississippi, Sonoma, Arizona, Oklahoma, Minnesota, again, Riverside, California, Central Florida, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Free Adel. All right, great. Good to see that we've got so many people here ready to enjoy the show tonight. We've got some big news to discuss. And don't worry, guys, I know exactly what you're wanting us to talk about. We are going to talk about these things. But first, the whole point of this is to get to know my friends from Patriot Soapbox and yours, and that would be Pam and Radix. Pam and Radix, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How are you guys doing?
Awesome. Awesome. We've our coffee's ready to go, man. We're
Perfect.
Settling in for a fun night.
Awesome. So. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. All right, we've got the live chat on the screen. I just want to make sure that it is showing the live chat and not the top chat. Good stuff. All right, you guys. Well, again, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Looking forward to this conversation. Looking forward to going over the news with you guys. Pam, I had a great time on your show the other day. Hopefully, you guys got a chance to listen to 412 and I last night because that was a really good time, too. I love you guys. You know, been watching y'all since the beginning. And, you know, even since before the beginning. I mean, I heard you and a couple of your compatriots on somebody else's podcast. I don't even remember what it was now, but it was before you had the channel, you know, and so it was great to watch the evolution of that, you know, to be able to see you guys putting everything together. It's like we're just a bunch of Anons, and then all of a sudden you guys burst onto the scene. And for many people, you are the name in this game. You know, you guys have been doing it for so long. Who else does it? Who else? That's how I look at it. I mean, maybe I'm a little starstruck, but that's how I feel about it. You know, I mean, I love that I can turn on Patriot Soapbox 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, if there's ever something that I need to check out, you know, because before that, you know, I mean, I was, you know, combing through all these different channels. I was looking for different things to watch. And then it was all of a sudden it was aggregated in one central place with a bunch of people that I felt I could trust, you know, so it's great. And enough about me gushing over the fact that you guys are here. I want to talk about how you got here, you know? What were you guys doing before this whole QAnon phenomenon kicked off?
Well, I was a paralegal and bookkeeper, just normal.
And I did what didn't I do? I worked, I worked at a Bed Bath & Beyond for a while.
There you go.
I worked at
a stay-at-home dad.
I was a stay-at-home dad after the birth of our daughter. My last actual job before that happened was actually working at a drug rehab.
Oh, yeah.
Really, by far, my favorite, job that I've had. Just such interesting people. And, you know, I got to see the opiate crisis, up close and personal, and talk to a lot of these people and
South Florida.
Get to know them. Yeah, South Florida is just, oh my gosh. I hear it's cleaned up since, but my gosh, it was a very personal job for me. So
yeah, I find it hard pressed to meet anybody who hasn't been touched in a very direct and personal way by the opiate crisis that's taking place in America right now. Yeah, you know, I guess before it started, sort of kicked off, you know, I mean, it seemed like, you know, way too many people were on pills. You know, I mean, like doctors for a long time have just been way too liberal with the way that they prescribe medication. And there was a doctor's office down the street from my house who she lost her medical license because she had overprescribed to way too many people, and somebody finally died. And it was known, you know, I mean, it was a pill mill, and I know that you guys have those down there. I mean, it's just doctors' offices where people will go to only receive their opiates, you know, pain clinics, I think maybe they're called.
Yeah. They had to put a moratorium on Palm Beach County because there were so many of them opening up across the street from each other, and they would dispense them on site.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I remember.
It was just like a drugstore.
Dude, yeah, you could go into like a shopping mall, right? You know, just an everyday shopping mall with Pizza Huts and so on, and you'd find like 2 pain clinics in every one. It was like, that's how pervasive it was down there. It was crazy.
That's insane. One-stop shopping. Get to go to Gap, Bed Bath & Beyond, and get your OxyContin all at the same time. It's so scary, you know? And thank God for President Trump, you know, the fact that he is you know, finally taking this on as a mission. You know, it's great to see it actually happening, because I thought for a while that, you know, we were just going to be goners, you know? I mean, of course, I think that before President Trump, there was a movement to kind of just, you know, dope everybody up, you know? I mean, people are compliant when they're high or they're inebriated.
Or dependent.
Yes, and dependent, right. You know, and
desperate.
It's a bad thing, you know, so it's great to be able to watch. Now, you know, since we're on the subject, I had heard that in Florida there is a huge cottage industry built up around the recovery community. That you've got, you know, people that will kind of shop around for addicts to bring to recovery houses and then halfway houses.
Oh, dude. All right.
Yeah.
Scooch, I can testify to this.
Reverend.
All right. The whole state, that whole operation with the pill mills and the rehabs, it is a racket. And they're all tied in with each other. All the pill mills, all the rehabs, treating all these people that these pill mills, you know, these sick people that these pill mills are creating. They drive people in and out of these rehabs. And these rehabs, I can testify from working at one, they are not designed to help people. They are designed to keep people sick and keep them going in and out, a revolving door of addiction, rehab, addiction, rehab, addiction, rehab. And these rehabs charge something on the order of, you know, 5 figures a month for you know, for the high dollar ones. And that was one of the ones I worked at was one of these like high dollar, you know, South Florida rehabs.
Like a Passages Malibu type place?
Yeah, right. Pretty much. Yeah. It was, and you didn't even really get all that much. You got literally like a crappy little, like these little, it was like a tiny little apartment complex that they owned with these beat up, like little 2-bedroom. It's essentially like college dorms was what they had these patients in.
Yeah.
And my job was to basically sit there and babysit all of them. I got to spend a lot of time with all of them, get to know them, hear their stories, and I got to hear about all of the way, you know, the way these poor folks were just pumped in and out of these places, and the way that their treatment programs are designed to
take away their support system.
To take away their support system. And yes, exactly. I would come home from work and like you know, complain. It was just it's sick. It's a sick system.
Well, there's another part of it that I had heard about is that there are people who, I mean, essentially human traffickers. They are running houses of prostitution. So they will find someone who needs to get help. They will maybe help them initially and then start providing them drugs, or maybe people that are just getting discharged from these rehab places, and then they'll provide them and then they'll use them horribly. This is going to be important later.
Yeah. Well, and it's more than that. I mean, it's so pervasive down there with the moratorium they had to do. And this is like something that affects everybody. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic background. I mean, I went to a private school in South Florida and seen this affect people, you know, of every background.
Yeah, kids are like millionaires, billionaires, that type of thing. And then
whole future just gone.
Kids from the ghetto.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
everyone.
I mean that's the thing about addiction is that it knows no socioeconomic strata. It doesn't matter who you are, you know. I mean, you can find yourself in that position, and oftentimes before you know it, you know. I mean, it was really frustrating to watch this happening, you know, just gradually over the course of a decade or so. You know, all of a sudden everybody's taking pills for one thing or another, and that's not to disparage people who actually need pain management. Because there are many people out there, many people I know who watch the show. But again, I also know many people who have, found themselves in a bad spot because they didn't really need that, and their doctor pushed it on them.
That's
everything that I saw working at that place and living in that area, it all, to me, it said to me that what said the heart of the problem, or at least one of the things at the heart of the problem, is the way that these doctors prescribe, and the way they're recommended to prescribe these meds. They should be prescribed for short-term courses of intense pain, not long-term pain. That's asking for trouble. As soon as this becomes a long-term thing and people start becoming dependent on it, lives get ruined and people die.
Right. When you've got 24-year-olds that are prescribed Roxy, Xanax, a whole slew of Klonopin, it's like, what? This is for people that are dying, that are like in hospice.
Yeah.
And then they get the young girls on them, and then they start, then they own them. And I saw a lot of that. I mean, Epstein's not like a, that is not uncommon in South Florida.
Really?
He was in South Florida. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
I saw girls, that worked at restaurants, waitresses, bartenders, like David Duke's daughter. And, they would become essentially like, pimps. They would be recruiters of other girls, and they'd get them on drugs.
Just like Epstein operated his women, and Rainier operated his women.
Yeah. Radix, I've had a couple of people say that they're having trouble hearing you, so I don't know if you can move any closer to the mic when you speak. But we brought it up. Oh, it's not a problem. We brought it up, so it sounds to me like the perfect time to discuss the biggest story of the day, if not the year, if not the decade. Jeffrey Epstein has been arrested for trafficking of minors. It's happening, guys.
It's happening. That's right. And Epstein, for example, he was one of these people that would go after vulnerable young girls. In South Florida, where I grew up in West Palm Beach, there were a lot of them. There were kids that would come from all over the country to go to school in South Florida and
live it up, party, and
right. And they get them on drugs, and then next thing you know, they're recruiting other girls. They're getting other girls on drugs, and so. This is, I know people in South Florida that were victimized by Epstein. It's a good day for them.
That's horrible. Geez, oh, Pete, I can't even imagine. I mean, and the reason that this is so important to me, a couple different reasons, guys. Obviously, the network that Jeffrey Epstein operated, the people that he was connected to, and that is probably still connected to, okay? Jeffrey Epstein is probably looking at spending the rest of his life in prison. We know that that's the last thing he wants to do. So I am confident that they are going to use him as a gateway to all of those additional people that he was supporting with his sick habits, and that, we're operating this with him. The thing about it also is that many people, it's one of the favorite things for people on the left to say, is that, oh, Trump and Epstein were best friends. No, they were both wealthy men living in the same area, hobnobbing at the same type of events, and that doesn't mean they were friends. I actually read a book about Jeffrey Epstein. I want to say it was Filthy Rich is what it was called. And it tells the tale in there that Donald Trump actually caught Jeffrey Epstein trying to, predatorize a daughter of his friend. And once he found that out, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago.
Yep. Yeah, he was trying to recruit girls there.
Gross.
Like he did at Chuck and Harold's and all these other places on the island, which is a small island, by the way. Palm Beach is very small. It's right over the bridge from West Palm Beach, and City Place and Clematis Street, and this is, it's a small area.
Yep. Excuse me. Now, so, I mean, you knew these places that Jeffrey Epstein was operating out of? Did you actually see him out and about?
Epstein, maybe.
One of the restaurants, maybe?
Probably. Yeah. I've seen Donald Trump at Chuck and Harold's and stuff. I mean, it's not a taboo. It's not uncommon. But a lot of these people like Trump and Epstein, they're only in Palm Beach part-time. They come in around the holidays and stuff. So... yeah, this is not uncommon, and it's not just Epstein.
That's horrible.
There are all kinds of people that come from New York or wherever, from all over the world, really. I mean, there were a lot of Arab men that were, recruiting for their harems there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, I just wanted to also mention on our previous topic here, there are several people mentioning in the chat, that they are legitimate they need opiate medications legitimately for pain relief. And, like I said, not to belittle the people who actually need it. To me, this is not an opioid hysteria type thing. I mean, there are far too many people who have access to it. And I think that it makes it more difficult for the people who actually need it.
Ones.
Yeah, because, the problem there is chronic pain. And, you go further back on that, and the problem is Western medicine. It's
right?
Yeah, because
it's those prescribing guidelines, man. It's I mean, these pharma companies, they tell these doctors to just sling these pills out because they know it'll keep.
Well, it's the idea of treating
legitimized drug dealing,
treating the symptoms, not the underlying causes.
Exactly.
I had sciatic nerve pain for a while after our daughter was born, and the only thing that helped me was chiropractors.
Yeah, and I go to the chiropractor. I mean, chiropractic is real, I mean, the people who try to disparage it are people who are not going to be making money if you go to a chiropractor,
Right, I mean,
go figure.
I only got adjusted a couple times, and I was good, and my doctor for months was telling me there's nothing I could do but take aspirin.
Wow. Oh, that's crazy. Well, so just for the people in the audience who are wondering what happened here with Jeffrey Epstein, he was arrested earlier this evening. Looks like he's going to be appearing in court in New York on Monday. And the arrest comes, of course, 12 years after the 66-year-old financier basically got off with a slap on the wrist in Florida. He had the lightest jail sentence I've ever seen for someone in the position with the type of charges that he had. He was on work release. Even when he was in the jail, he didn't really have to, be in general population. He got to wear whatever he wanted. He had a cushy cell. I mean, he basically had to sleep in a very nice room that was in an annex of the Florida jail someplace. So not much that happened to him. So this is going to be incredible to watch, you guys. So the new charges are alleging that Epstein exploited dozens of underage girls in the scheme that he was originally prosecuted for. He'd pay them for massages, and then it would go on from there. And it's a dangerous game, because when you've got a predator like this, especially a predator who's a billionaire, I mean, I think that people, especially in an area like Florida, I mean, everybody is looking to survive, all right? And then people are in that type of an environment. I think that it's probably much easier to go after somebody with a scheme that requires money like this, because they're going to bring them in, they're going to get them hooked on the idea of becoming wealthy, and then they compromise them, and it's terrible.
Yep.
So... you guys, I also wanted to mention, it's not often that you get to work doing what you love, all right? It's also even less frequent that you get to work with your spouse doing what you love. So let's talk about the shows, you guys. I'm going to hear about the evolution of Patriot Soapbox.
Yeah.
We were just talking about
we were just talking about this today. Yeah, that's so funny. What was it we were saying?
We were talking about the very beginning when you would fall asleep with the microphone on your chest.
Yeah, the early days. Yeah, and
the cat was in the ceiling, or dead cat would be taking his phone into the shower.
We were talking about the early days and how I was complimenting her and saying, it's thanks to her that the channel was able to be birthed the way it was. And when it was. So as I mentioned, I was a stay-at-home dad at the time, and it was that freedom that allowed me that kind of that fostered the environment that created the channel. You know, I had all this free time on my hands, just kind of watching this little kid bouncing around. I had to figure out how to channel my energy somehow, and I put it. You know, the Q thing was happening around the time I found it and just started. So we were talking about the early days and how it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the way things were, and it wouldn't be the way things are now if it weren't for the unique relationship that me and her share as heads of the channel, and what we're both able to bring to the table. We were going on about that. We're a lucky couple.
Very, very lucky. You know, I think I've heard from a lot of different people, you know, that like, oh, you know, I've tried to talk to my wife, or I've tried to talk to my girlfriend, or I've tried to talk to my husband or my boyfriend about this stuff. And, you know, you can't always get through, you know, so to be able to be on the same page and to really understand what's going on, and then, you know, parlay that into a way to make your living, and to be home with your kid too. You know, how old is your daughter?
She's 6 now.
Oh, wow. Good stuff. I remember that age, you know. She still needs you, so. My daughter's going to be 18 next month, so, you know, she's never home. She's never even home.
I don't even want to know what happens. I've heard when they hit 12, they're too cool for you, you know.
Yeah, basically.
Ours wants to have her own show, though. I mean,
that would be sweet. Has she done any guest spots yet? Have you had her in?
All the time, telling people about.
I saw her. I did see her the other day. That's great. Okay,
yeah, so very lucky. I said the other day I was on air talking about this kind of stuff. I was telling our audience, don't be jealous of me, because I'm like an utter slave to what I do, and it's a life that is not for everybody. I'm sure you know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It is. You got to be a bit cuckoo.
No day off.
You got to be a bit intense to do this.
It's very true.
More than a bit.
I have days I just want to quit.
Yeah.
You know.
God doesn't let us do it, though. God gave us no choice in the matter.
I mean, it must be an incredible feat to be juggling everything that you do there at PSB.
Dude, it's nuts, man.
Yeah.
And with the launching of the website, the relaunch of it, the rebirth of it, you know, doing it totally different this time. No more forums that were designed for like Overwatch or whatever, that was impossible to find what you wanted to find. You had to look by, I think it was topic, and then you couldn't see the most recent comment. It was a mess. We had no idea what we were doing when we first started this. And, you know, now with what we're doing, you know, we're bringing people in and just trying to empower them and teach them how to write. And the only way I know how to do that is like from the lens of a paralegal.
Yep. Yeah, we're basically, like, our whole goal with things, it's evolved into trying to like create the framework and the tools that people need to be the news. Like we're trying to create an umbrella under which people can operate as the news. I tell people all the time to take it very seriously, because we have to.
Yeah.
It's got to be all of you, all of us that takes up that mantle and takes back the fourth estate.
Right.
It's supposed to be ours.
That's right. You know, because it's journalism is not what it used to be. You know, I mean, like, I think we're both having a great time with you know, what it's becoming, but it's not without its pitfalls. You know, it's wonderful to watch. You know, just an entire nation of people aggregating the information and the stuff that's important, and like fighting against whatever the propaganda machine is, you know, the stuff that we are supposed to be paying attention to. You know, nobody watches, you know, the 3-letter agency media news any longer. You know, I mean, nobody's watching MSNBC, nobody's watching CNN. You know, they're only on air because their owners, you know, continue to fund it. You know, but how much longer before it's not even, you know, whatever their profit is? You know, how much longer before it's gone?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got the new Patriot Soapbox pulled up. Looks like right now it's basically just an embed of your Twitch stream, which I would assume is the same as your YouTube stream, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just a mirror of the YouTube stream.
We're not ready yet to be launched.
How long before it will be completed and launched?
Matter of weeks,
a couple weeks,
a week or two.
Really good stuff.
You know, we're working with people that have no experience as a journalist or a writer, and I'm very OCD, and I've been putting these people all through a boot camp, but I don't care, who you are, whatever your background is, I can train you. And, I'll put you through a boot camp, and I can be difficult, but it's ultimately to help you. I mean, that's how I look at it. And I just am doing it the way I know how to do things as a paralegal, the who, what, where, when, why is this relevant?
I mean, that's exactly what you need, though. I mean, you guys are running a massive organization, I mean, and it's incredible to me every time I turn it on and you guys are always on the air, Now, tell me about your shows individually. Radix?
Again. Okay.
I didn't even want to have a show. I never wanted to even be on the Soapbox. I was working when he started this, and he uprooted us and moved us, and you guys used to have to force me to even come on and talk. I was so shy and socially awkward.
I'd have to rope her in with one of the, this old timey canes, with the neck hooks. You just drag her on stage.
Yeah. And, my show was started by somebody else who wanted, me to just be there to kind of run things by. And here it is. I'm doing it now. So.
Awesome. And now, Pam, your show has kind of evolved recently too, with 412 branching off and doing his own stuff. So you guys are going back and forth, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. We alternate. I go Monday and Wednesday. He takes Tuesday, Thursday, and then we both do Fridays.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
We just take calls from people, kind of keep our finger on the pulse of the movement, and see what people are feeling and what they're thinking. What's on their minds.
That was a lot of fun.
I love talking to you all. You all are the best. You're incredible.
I'm definitely going to do something like that myself. Maybe just do it once a week or something like that. But it's just something I've been meaning to work up to for quite some time. Now, I was just going to say, Radix, it's got to your history and your former job has got to come in handy when it comes to research, I'd imagine.
I think so. Probably. It may be why I make the connections I make, but I think that also is just the curious autistic mind that makes loose connections and maybe sees things that, but really that does come from, I think, being a paralegal, because I remember in my early days, as a 17, 18-year-old, working at one of the biggest law firms in South Florida, and the attorneys bringing us in and being like, okay, here's a complaint, read it and tell me, how should we respond to that?
If you don't do it right, they throw staplers at you. Not kidding. That happens. I'm not kidding. It's the thing.
It can be
great. Dude, these lawyers, they're nuts, man.
It's
you do
true.
not.
I've known a couple. Yeah.
It's true.
They tend to work people hard. I mean, I would imagine they've got to be under a tremendous amount of pressure. I mean, constantly going in and out of courtrooms and having clients that don't pay or clients that don't show up or just deals that fall
comes
through.
In and shoots someone in the face.
Right. Yep. All right. So so what's going on here with the evolution of the station? Do you guys have any other big plans besides just the website that's coming up?
Right now, I mean, it focuses all on the website. The channel is kind of nice and stable. It's been doing its thing, so we've turned focus towards getting this website going, so we can start publishing our own journalism and getting written content out there, and
cool.
providing a platform for people who don't want to come on air but can write.
Right. I think writing is the real journalism.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to do the real stuff.
So it's a
what
problem.
We've been doing. This is, it's fun and everything, but when you're doing it on when you're live 24/7, first of all, being live is different than being, making a video, editing it and uploading it. You're live. And it's all, 5 days a week we have a show. I do 2 hours. On Thursdays, I do 3 hours. I do show prep. I'm in the newsroom at 7 a.m. It's crazy, but it's, you cannot, I can't, at least for me, I don't have the time to do some of the deep dives I'd really like to do. So I think this writing thing helps a lot, and really, without common sense, there wouldn't have been the Second American Revolution. Yeah. The written word is so powerful.
Let's talk about even further back. What was your original red pill moment, like when you just realized that things were not what you'd been told?
9/11.
Okay.
I lost a cousin in, Beirut in 2007, and he was a Marine for 8 years, 4 years in Baghdad.
So sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in the DC area. I lived through it. Not quite the same as what someone who lived in New York City might have experienced, but all the same. I knew people whose parents worked at the Pentagon, and they didn't know if they made it out alive. We were right in the thick of all this, so it was a very personal experience, and it launched me into searching for what the heck happened, and that was it. But the rest didn't come. That kind of planted a seed. The rest didn't really happen until after we had our kid, because that'll make you start thinking about the world and what you're going to leave behind after you leave it, and so much more. It just gets you thinking about a lot of things you may not have thought about before.
Oh yeah, I mean, once you're responsible for another life, everything changes.
Changes it all.
Yeah, looks like we've got some people who are late to the show, and they're asking me to talk about the Jeffrey Epstein case. We've already discussed it, but just for everybody who wasn't here earlier, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in New York. He will be appearing in court on Monday. He's charged with trafficking of minors, and once again, I believe that it is, in fact, happening. This is a direct response, in my opinion, to everyone who tries to tie Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein, because there was no other administration that was willing to do this. I mean, it was the former administration that helped cover everything up. It was Robert Mueller who buried all this stuff. Okay, and now we are seeing it actually come to fruition, and this is a good time, I think, to talk about the timeline. This isn't my timeline, guys. This isn't your timeline. This is POTUS's timeline. This is Q-Team's timeline. This is going to take time, and it has taken as long as it has because the DOJ was building the largest racketeering case in the history of the United States, if not the world. Think about how far and wide this corruption goes. And Radix, we were saying earlier, you only get one shot at this. If they take this stuff to court and they don't have the absolute airtight case that they need to convict everybody, then it's going to go away and people are going to get away with it. I would imagine that as a paralegal, you would understand that better than most people.
Being a paralegal, really, when I first started, when I was like 17, I thought it was going to be, I was going to be doing all this great work, and then I realized
making a difference
how the legal system really works. And I worked in litigation and family law, and it really is designed like almost as a racket at this point. It is a racket. Especially family law with the guardians ad litem and the way that they do things, where there's got to be, if there's kids, there has to be court mandated therapy and all this stuff that like just messes up the kids and is designed to, make money for these people.
That's an excellent point. I've heard about that a lot. Because this is a big problem with family court, is that they will have like a selection of doctors and therapists that are mandated for people to attend therapy with them if they're going through the family court system, and they kind of just rotate people in and out, and they make families spend all this money that they don't have, and if they can't afford it, then I've often heard that the parent who can afford it tends to get the favoritism in the court. Have you seen anything like that?
I'm sorry, I totally blanked on it.
She was reading chat.
I was looking at chat. I hate seeing comments about myself.
Well, I mean, we will look at the chat later, and we're going to go over some super chats. Thanks everybody who has super chatted before. Maybe this is a good time to break for it. But I mean, it's. I hope that everybody in the audience understands that when you're involved in a conversation for the pleasure of the audience, it's not always easy to look at the chat box because you tend to lose your train of thought. You tend to lose your train of thought, and that's the last thing you want is dead air when you are live on a live stream. So I do want to say thank you to Jeff Stewart. He says, hi, Red, and everybody. Thank you for that super chat. Lady Warrenon, thank you for that. Always a pleasure when you're in the chat. Floriccio, also another great patriot. She says, love my president and his courage to face evil every single day. I'm a proud legal immigrant, and I love and respect this great free country. We need to stand with our president and help him fight this swamp. Vote Trump 2020. This is probably going to be the most important election, even more important than 2016, because, I think, again, we're only going to get one shot at this. If President Trump is not reelected, then we are very quickly going to slide back into the situation that we had before. And I thought we were done for, personally. I mean, I thought America was over. There's no bringing it back. And President Trump has pleasantly surprised me. I'm very, very happy with the way things turned out.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Also, Patricia Furlong, she says, love my Red Pill family. Thank you very much, Patricia. Bill Demon, thanks for the super chat. And somebody gave a super chat, but then they retracted the message. I don't know who that was, so if you'd like to maybe do it in all caps, and I'll try to catch it next time. Dirty Natasha, hey, Dirty Natasha. And Jeff Stewart says, where we go one, we go all. Awesome. So, back to the website. Do you guys already have your staff in place? Do you know who's going to be doing stuff, or you just fly in,
We're getting them all in place, but because we rely on volunteers and stuff, and it's, we work with what we have, but it's okay.
Dude, the past year and a half has been flying
300 any day.
It's all seat of the pants.
Give me 10 people that are committed and that will show up, and we'll make it work.
Someone else just brought something up in the chat about the earthquakes. I put forth a theory last night because that earthquake took place directly below a deep underground military base, and I thought that hey, perhaps this is the Alliance taking out a Cabal stronghold. I mean, I don't know that to be fact, but heck, I mean, I love to spitball with you guys. I love to put this stuff out there and see what people have to think about it, because there was an interesting post that someone had sent me over. So the earthquake was near China Lake, and it's on the screen right now. It's that post from 8chan that I sent over to you guys. Looks like somebody, it looks like 11:40. I don't know what time zone that is, but it was on the 5th, and someone posted 232 Naval Air Weapons Station. I believe that's referring to the base. And then below that, below the green text, is 322 S&B, which, of course, is Skull and Bones.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, the weird thing about this is on the 4th, there was seismic activity all around the world around 5 p.m. Eastern, the 4th of July. And it was very similar to the seismic activity that occurred on 11/11/18, where the earth rang like a bell for 17-second intervals.
Yes. Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, do you know much about seismic activity? Is that something that you've researched?
Oh, I'm an absolute expert on seismic activity.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch Mr. MBB 333 on YouTube, and then there's a couple other channels, BP Earthwatch. They always do stuff about earthquakes and the earth and earth changes, weather, stuff like that.
I may not be an expert on it, but I remember looking at the seismic activity and thinking it was very bizarre that it was picked up like that in these weird 17-second intervals. And there was another thing that had occurred. There was something that happened in Argentina, because this was also at another one of these events he was going to. It may have been the G7 or something or whatever. But and there was also I think an earthquake by the HARP facility in Alaska at that time.
I believe that there was some very strange radio waves or transmissions that looked like were coming out from Antarctica. There was seismic activity, and then there were these radio bursts that were taking place and shooting all across the earth. And yeah, I mean, this stuff, I believe it was confirmed in the posts that that 17-second interval wave was confirmed in the posts, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As I recall.
Yeah.
Right.
I see your chat talking about Dutch Sense getting swatted.
Oh,
yeah,
that
got
is
that
so
up on
crazy.
the screen. Yeah, so quite frankly, and I were talking earlier today, and he mentioned that he had been watching Dutch Sense all night, and apparently he predicted these earthquakes prior to them happening. Not only the initial was 6.4, and that, but he also predicted that second 7.1 that came out. Have you guys been watching Dutch Sense?
I've only heard about this through watching chat talk about it. Yeah,
because of what happened on the 4th at 5 p.m., that weird seismic activity, I was expecting something like this too, and I don't know why.
Very interesting.
Autism.
Well, so he had been, obviously speaking about this on his channel. He's got a Twitter, and today someone swatted him. They tried to swat him and his wife, it looks like. He says that we don't have a home phone at this address, and of course they can't believe that somebody did this to them. It seems really strange to me that somebody would do this to him unless they were looking to shut him up. Like why do people do this? They, it's like they don't like what you're doing. People don't send SWATs to your house when you're, a beloved and you're putting out innocuous content. They want to put him in his place and make sure that he's not going to say it anymore. Somebody just said WTF is swatted.
I was about to say, like, what about those of us that don't know what swatting is?
I'm sorry, I took that for granted, guys. Swatting is the deplorable or despicable. I want to maintain deplorable as a positive thing. Despicable practice of sending a SWAT team to someone's house. So people will quite often when maybe people are streaming video games, live on Twitch or something like that, they will send a SWAT team to that person's house, and they'll pretend like there's somebody at that house, which is going to be putting somebody else's life in danger. So then, while the person is live on the air, the SWAT team comes bursting through their door, and it's very dangerous. Sometimes nothing happens, but other times people are gravely injured.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's
pathetic, sad practice.
Not a good thing. Not a good thing. And people still saying Jeffrey Epstein has been arrested. That's right, guys. It is happening. Jeffrey Epstein is the tip of the spear when it comes to this stuff. We know that he's got connections to so many rich and powerful people. I just want to say thank you to Eminem. She said, "Hi, Red Pill 78 guest speakers and all patriots. Are we tired of winning? We go one, we go all. Absolutely not tired of winning. Looking forward to a lot more winning." Elizabeth Miller, thank you for the super chat. Nathan Scheil said, "It was me, HRC's cabal will take care of Jeffrey Emster." Nathan, who had super chatted previously and then retracted the message. I would say that if Jeffrey Epstein was just a typical arrest, that it would be pretty likely that he might be silenced in prison. Maybe join the Red Scarf Club. But in this instance, guys, I have to say that I think that, the Trump team and the DOJ are savvy enough to realize that they cannot just leave this guy anywhere. They're going to probably have to keep him under, tight lock and key, make sure that he's protected because he's going to need to be testifying against a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. The mafia connections, the alleged Mossad connections.
Yeah. Lots of different connections, and that's a good thing to bring up. That's how he got his start. He was basically gifted hundreds of millions of dollars so that he could use it to invest. And we've known for many years that the things that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with, this is a favorite tactic of the deep state. They need to control people. They need to keep their eye on people, and there are many sickos involved in that. So. They will bring people in, they will compromise them, get it on camera, and then basically, you're going to do whatever they want you to do because, of course, you don't want that information to come out.
That's right.
It's terrible. And somebody had apologized for not knowing what swatting is. Don't worry, guys. Totally understandable. Not everybody can know what swatting is.
Why would anybody know what that... Why would anybody even think... To do that to someone.
Right.
Trolls, unfortunately, and I think that there's been quite a bit of coverage about it in the last couple of years. I mean, I haven't seen anything recently, but there was a time, you know, where YouTubers were getting swatted. You know, I mean, people were having the SWAT teams sent to their houses, and you know, it's putting them and their families in danger. Michael just said Epstein better stay in jail lest he's Arkansided. Yeah, you know, hopefully they're going to have him in a safe house. They're going to have him under tight guard because
there was just a murder-suicide in Arkansas just yesterday or the day before. 4 people murder-suicide. I don't know.
What? Oh, do you know who those people are? I mean, have their identities been released?
I don't know. I just, you know, we've been so busy with the 4th of July. I've been tangentially keeping an eye on this stuff. I mean, we haven't had a break since we've been back, and you know, I just looked at briefly, remember reading the news story, but, you know, we also had Linda Collins Smith and a couple other people.
Perfect segue. I wanted to ask about that, you guys. So Linda Collins Smith, the former Arkansas state senator who was recently murdered, and they've arrested someone who she was apparently supposed to be best friends with, someone who worked on her campaign. You know, and then
not just that, the website and everything. I mean,
well, tell us more. I mean, I didn't know that she had been on your program until after it came out that she had been found dead. So, you know, how did you guys
been on twice, I think.
Wow. How did you guys hook up? Did she reach out to you or did you reach out to her?
I had nothing to do with this. It was one of the people that does the morning shows. I think it was Indy and Abe, that she was in contact with them and came on twice to their show. And she was talking about not just the problems with the border, but this CPS issue and the foster care and stuff. So
you're talking about the Angel Mom?
No, Linda Collins Smith and how she came on the channel.
Okay, right, yeah.
I mean, that was pretty big. You know, I mean, the idea that a former state senator will be coming on you guys' program, I mean, it lends a lot of legitimacy to this kind of stuff that we're doing. And then also it lends a lot of legitimacy to the discussion that came out after she was murdered. You know, I heard many people, you know, speculating on the fact that she was, you know, hot on the trail of this connection between CPS and trafficking, but I couldn't find anything to back that up, you know, but I mean, she was on your show talking about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
With, you know, one of the Angel Moms and, you know, there's some weird stuff about what happened, you know, with her murder, the way that it was announced and the way that they've sealed the case right away. And
there was an unusual amount of odd disinformation going around about it
from the beginning.
And that's always a red flag. If there's an inordinate amount of disinformation being spread, you can usually kind of infer that something's going on.
Exactly. Now, there was another state senator that was murdered right around the same time. He's from Oklahoma, was it? Or, I mean, another state close to
Oklahoma.
Okay. I didn't want to say it wrong. Now, are you guys aware of any connection between Linda Collins Smith and that other state senator?
No, and the only thing I could find on him was that he had worked on legislation for child sex offenders. He wanted them chemically castrated.
Wow.
And he was trying to work on legislation for that. So that's all I was able to find on him. And
well, this is the other thing that I wanted to talk about before I forget. You guys just came back from Washington, D.C. You and several of your colleagues went to the celebration on the mall there. Tell me about that, you guys. How was that?
You want to show them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's play a video.
I'll show you a clip. Is that all right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Yeah, this was, well, first, before I pull this up, yeah, it was incredible. It was... We've never actually been to a Trump rally before because he's never come to like the DC area. He's never done a rally, within a few hours of here. So we've never been able to go. And granted, this wasn't a Trump rally, but there were a lot of MAGA hats out there for sure. A lot of patriotism in general. So it was kind of like one, but it was in a way more special and different.
Well, I mean, it was really a celebration of America, not just a celebration of the MAGA agenda.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what made it different and so unique. It was the crowd of people there. They weren't Trump people per se. It was people who loved America, and it highlighted something very interesting for me. You know, the mainstream portrays this picture of these two sides, our side and you know, the enemy, as being relatively the same, you know, in terms of size and intensity, but it's not like that at all. These streets were filled with patriots that loved their country and wanted nothing to do with the division and nonsense that these idiots push. And the protesters that were there were few and far between and pathetic. Let's, in a word, just pathetic. It was sad, and you'll see that here. That's the clip I chose. It was the most exciting, I think, part of the day, aside from listening to the president speak. It was the most intense moment of the day.
Excellent.
It was a clash between the protesters and our people.
Okay.
So that's what we're watching here.
Let's cue it up. Who from PSB is in the video?
Red Pilled Ken. For those of you who know Red, I think he's got a YouTube channel of his own. He's one of our listeners. He's always in the audience, always in live chat. He's awesome. Awesome dude. All right, here we go. We'll be back in a few.
Jeffrey in it. I don't think Trump ever said kick the trees down, did he?
Pretty sure.
No.
Pretty sure he's fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. But no. You seeing this, bro? Sad, sad, sad.
This is the extent of their protest here. Was just this, you know, a couple people scattered around this disgraceful figure of our president on a toilet with his pants down.
That looks very well made and
professional. Oh, and it even had a soundboard to go with it. You'll hear it here.
Pardon me.
All they do is try to disrespect this.
And this is Red Pilled Ken here. I'll let it roll from here.
Man, right. This is not what it's supposed to be. Mr. Trump, we love you, man. Thank you for coming to save America. We love you, Mr. Donald J. Trump. We're not going to let this get us down. We got your back, Mr. Donald J. Trump. I got his back. I got his back. All right? God bless you, brother. I got his back. Who wants to do something? I got his back. All right? I got your back, Trump. What do you want to do? I got your back. I'm going to walk next to him. He wants a picture. He wants a picture. I want a picture too. Yeah, that's bullshit. That's what is
It's a disgrace.
Where's Face Amy? We want Face Amy. And Republicans, they're the real pedophiles. He's not shitting on America like everyone on your God bless you, brother.
God bless America.
God bless you. Dios te bendiga, hermano. That's you plus right there.
That's right.
Together. We love you, Trump. Wait, he let these. Oh, it's free speech. Okay, free speech is fine. But guess what? Right. You can have your free speech, but that allows me to have mine now. That's a piece of shit. All right? Just like your ideology. Just the way you think. Whoever put this up, I'm attacking your ideology. Just like I attacked the Democrats. That's right. I'm Red Pill Ken on Twitter.
Red Pill Ken. Oh man!
Hey, look at the black unemployment. All the blacks are working. All the blacks, Latinos, Hispanics too, Chinos, everybody's working. I got 2 jobs working. God bless America. God bless America. I got the flag. God bless America.
Where we going? We go on!
That's right. What, you got something to say? Is this your shit here? Is this your shit? It's my shit. Hey, well, it's garbage. That's exactly what it is. It is
Douglas
shit.
said, what is Independence Day
That's right.
for the slave?
Right. Well, let me tell you.
That is your people. That is your hear something.
Shut up! Shut your USA! 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 USA!
That was incredible.
That was a few minutes of the day right there.
Wow, so intense, so intense. How do we make?
God bless that man. Red Pill Ken is like, I've never met anybody with the energy that he's got, and the intensity and the just like the drive and the. He's just incredible. He was what a force of nature, man.
That's great. That's great. And how offensive when that woman came up and gave that quote from Frederick Douglass. You know,
this is your people. Like, can you the nerve of these people?
As if slavery still exists, or as if the black average American is not a citizen of the United States. This is a celebration of the independence of America. You know, and we've had our stumbles along the way, but things have been they've been made right. You know, I mean, everybody who is an American citizen has equal rights, equal protection under the law. And, that's one of the things that the left is trying to undo. You know, I mean, they're trying to make essentially a class of people who, it's not okay to have a particular point of view, or a dissenting point of view from whatever they have as the official narrative.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah. And I mean, did you catch the couple pathetic little protesters at the end there trying to start a chant? What was it they were saying? Love Trump's hate. Love Trump's hate. We drowned him out with USA, baby. Oh, gosh. It was wonderful.
I didn't even hear them. All I heard was USA. That's great.
Love Trump's hate. Love Trump's hate.
They tried to start it. They got maybe one out.
Yeah.
No,
what a good time.
I mean, so there was, a couple of different incidents that took place on the 4th there. There was a guy who set a flag on fire, and he threw it at a Secret Service agent in front of the White House. Did you guys happen to catch that?
I wish I would have been there to catch that on film. Oh, my goodness. I only heard about it later, so no, I didn't see it.
I've got pictures of it here on the screen. I mean, I saw the video of it, and it's pretty shocking, I mean, like, apparently this guy that was trying to set flags on fire was some type of a career flag burner. This is his shtick. This is what he does. So, his only goal was to set this flag on fire. For whatever reason, he decided it was going to be a good idea to toss that flag at a Secret Service agent. I mean, this is the kind of thing that is going on in our country because of the radicalization of the left, because of the mainstream media, drumming people up and giving a platform to groups like, I'm not going to say the name of the group, but it starts with an A and ends with an A. Those people, they represent a very small margin of the folks here in America, but because they are represented so strongly on the mainstream media, and you've got people like Chris Cuomo saying that it's morally okay to go ahead and punch someone if you disagree with them, you've got people that are they're empowered to act like this. Where is the civility? Where is the decorum? It's almost impossible to have a civilized conversation or, an objective argument with these people because it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter what your opinion is.
Yep.
Yeah, just disgusting. Just disgusting.
It is, man. It's a sad thing.
A couple more thank yous I want to send out here. Let's see. Oh, Nathan Chiles says, again, I seen the 4th on YouTube. Wow, all the people standing out by the Capitol watching Trump on a Jumbotron. I think as much as the mainstream media wanted to, they could not silence this celebration. They wanted to try to position their framing of it as some type of glorified Trump rally, but that's not what it was. President Trump was just celebrating our country, celebrating the men and women of the armed forces. These people who put their lives on the line on a daily basis. And, the mainstream media has absolutely no respect. Did you guys happen to see any mainstream channels covering this while you were out there?
think we passed by Fox News.
I think we passed by
and
Fox.
In their hoity-toity little out of the sun tent with their air-conditioned fan blowing on them while they sit there and get did up for the camera. And it was pathetic. That's not us.
Wow. Actually, guys, I do have some video here of that incident at the Capitol. So I'm going to go ahead and play that real quick.
Cool.
You're good.
You guys are fucking toxic. As a woman of color. Hey, come on! As a woman of color. Let's go!
My flag, motherfucker, my flag. Yes.
America was never great. Slavery, genocide, and war.
America was never great. I just bristle when I hear people say that. If America wasn't great, then tell me, how do you even exist? How have you afforded the protections and the rights that we have here in America to get where you are and to go out and talk about the things that matter to you? I mean, we have freedom of speech, and that's why those people are able to stand around and chant that America was never great. I might not like it, and unfortunately, I wish that guy hadn't, gone after the guy who burned the flag. But I can understand. I can understand the visceral reaction. It is incredibly disrespectful, but even more than that, incredibly irresponsible to light something that they know is going to be flammable like that in a crowd of people like that. People were shoved to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's that mindset, man. To a T, they have no consideration for anyone but themselves and what kind of attention they can garner. No thought to the consequences of their actions. None at all. I was talking about this the other week. Like, these people, when you look in their eyes, they're dead. Like, there is no, like, you look in mine and there's this like nice little twinkle here. Well, that's from the light there, but they're dead inside, and you can see it. Like, there's something missing with them. They're sociopaths. They're full-blown psychopaths in some case.
I have to agree.
Yeah, I think that they're cut off from God, and I kind of look at this more as like a spiritual battle. No,
I mean, I think so too.
I think it's iniquity with these people, whether it's gluttony, greed, lust. It's spiritual iniquity, and it comes from a lack of a relationship with Jesus Christ and with God.
I totally agree. I mean, they've been trying to push God completely out of our lives for decades, and I mean, that goes along with the destruction of the nuclear family. I mean, if you don't have a spiritual foundation, if you don't have a strong family to, help raise you and show you what's right, then, who ends up raising you? The state media ends up raising you.
Mm-hmm.
None of that is happenstance. It's all by design.
That's
all
right.
of it.
Now, Michael Cody said NPC drones owned by Patriots in that clip with Red Pill Ken. I would totally have to agree. Nikki Nichols, thanks for that super chat. Speaking of God and the presence of God in our lives, my good friend God's Guy just joined the chat. He says, love the guest, love you, bro, love our POTUS, take back our skies now. I think that's a very important thing. I mean, do you guys have in my state personally, I have noticed a marked decrease in the amount of trails in the sky, not contrails but chemtrails. Have you guys noticed a decrease in your area?
Yes, actually.
Now that you mention it,
Mm-hmm.
actually, yeah.
Which is weird.
It's interesting, yeah, because our little one always points them out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she's, look, mommy, daddy, there's the chemtrails. Look, they're spraying today. Like,
I don't even know where she learned that.
Funny. But yeah, she hasn't done that lately. I haven't seen them. I guess hardly ever in the past month or two.
And
Right.
well, I mean, for me, it was basically as soon as President Trump got into office, I just stopped seeing them. I also noticed that the sky went back to being blue. You know, it had been gray for so many years, and I was like, you know, did I just imagine a blue
If you
sky?
could even see it, there's so, you know, like a grid of these weird, unnatural looking clouds.
Do you remember that
always.
one day though,
Mhm.
where there was that
The crisscrossing.
crisscross? Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that was recent.
That
know-
was recent. That was actually like just a couple
That's
months
really
ago.
weird.
But since then, I haven't seen anything like that. And I've actually seen very clear blue skies, which I haven't seen in a long time around here. So
That's
that's a
good.
good.
I know that my friend God's guy lives in California, and apparently it has not let up in California, and that sucks. I mean, I wish that it was good for everybody everywhere. But I think one of the important things to remember here too is that you have a lot of air traffic going on all over the United States, you know, and many of those planes are private. You know, I think that a lot of this stuff is happening in a clandestine way, you know, so it's not necessarily a government, you know, operation of things that are taking place. I mean, we know the cabal stretches across, you know, every boundary. It's you know, it's the public, it's the private, it's religion, it's financial, it's absolutely everything.
That's right. And when I look at the way that the president is going about this or the way that it's happening, I see, number one, Q is stated before, it's not another 4-year election. It's not about the border. It's not about the trafficking. It's not about any of these things. It is about restructuring the foundations of the government, pulling things out of DC, out of the swamp, you know, creating, I think that the president did his intelligence community advisory board. You know, he, I believe, has private investigators investigating these people. You know, there's people posting pictures from Necker Island of drone shots going over Epstein's place. You know, it's very interesting. You see that dome is gone from that building. The door was painted on. It wasn't even a real door.
Yep.
There's these doors that go into underground. It's like, what the hell is going on here? So, you know, I've seen a lot that makes me think that he's utilizing private contractors.
I think so too. You know, I mean, we know that he has a good relationship with Eric Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. No, I've thought about that quite a bit myself. You know, I mean, President Trump has done a really good job of, since he came in, you know, I mean, initially there were many people that I was concerned about as being part of his administration, but I came to realize that if he was not able to go in with, you know, a substantial number of swamp creatures, they never would have allowed him to even start a government. You know, they would have locked up everybody in Congress in confirmation. He wouldn't have been able to put anything together. You know, so he did it, and then slowly he was able to weed people out and then get the good people in, and then you start using that interim people provision that we've been told about in the boards, you know, because that way, you know, the people who are interim, they don't have to be confirmed. They don't have to worry about keeping their jobs. They know that they're only going to be there for 90 days or something like that. You know, it's just a temporary position. So I think that's something that President Trump has done really well. And then, but probably by utilizing some type of private entities to do the work outside of the purview of the government, so as to, you know, keep it insulated.
That's right. That's what I think is happening. And I've also, you know, it may be because of, you know, my background, but I tend to be a little bit less optimistic, especially from my experience with the legal system and how the government works. You know, what I've seen prosecutors do to people. So, you know, for me, I was very skeptical about not just the president, but Q in the beginning of, you know, why did he appear the way that he did? Why did he take this tack of, you know, presenting information? And I've run different scenarios in my mind, and, you know, to think, could this be a psyop? Could this be setting us up, you know, to be betrayed or whatever? And I keep running these different scenarios in my mind, and I cannot see anything where he's doing what these people want. So
just a couple of other quick thank yous. Nathan Shiles says, I love the far left. They made so many people I know Trump supporters. And I think that he tends to be right there. You know, I mean, they've done a lot of good work on behalf of bringing people over to the right side. Also said, she's right. Are you going to start a family? That must have been for a comment from before. I already have a family. You guys already have a family. Family's very important. Grandpappy Frog, thanks for that super chat. And then Ben Schwagel reminds us that, yep, Jeffrey Epstein was in fact arrested today for trafficking and conspiracy to commit that trafficking. Once again, this could be the keystone right there. Jeffrey Epstein could be the keystone because he links up to so many people. It's just a good day.
You know, I find it really interesting that this Epstein news is coming now, right after Keith Raniere is found guilty, but before sentencing. He doesn't get sentenced for months. You know, that's plenty of time to apply that pressure and say, hey, you could roll on some people for some reduced sentencing, you perv, you freak. Yeah, I wonder if Epstein's connected to that somehow.
I wouldn't doubt it. You know, I mean, we know that Raniere and NXIVM connect to the Mexican government, which, you know, connects then to Pelosi and the California Democrats. I don't think that these people are separate, you know, and they're all part of a larger network, and they're part of, you know, they have their own individual spheres or networks that they operate and that they do business within. But then, you know, all the bad people know who all the other bad people are. You know, I mean, the swamp is vast.
That's right. And if you look at the way that, you know, the way these secret societies do things and these occult groups, they create circles within circles. So, you know, you can look at L. Ron Hubbard, and he was connected to Crowley and Thelema and Jack Parsons and stuff, and he creates Scientology. Well, it's very similar to NXIVM, isn't it?
Yes.
Scientology also is going to court. There's a lawsuit coming for Scientology as well. Interesting timing on that also.
And you know, it's funny, a lot of these cults seem to be connected directly, aren't they? It's really interesting.
It's very true.
We've been finding that out lately, haven't we?
Yeah, the connections have been revealing themselves, and I can only imagine this is going to continue to roll out. This is great. Oh, good look at that. My friend Billy at Patriot Politics Research says, look at the USMC tweet today. Judgment Day. They tweeted out Judgment Day. That is very telling. Thank you so much for that, Billy. Okay, we're going to look at that tweet in just a second. But first of all, there's this account on Twitter, Majestic12. They said, we will be making an appearance this evening during the fireworks, Eyes on the Skies. And then they give a latitude and a longitude. Of course, it was directly above the Lincoln Memorial. So just, you know, spitballing, I wanted to see if you guys noticed anything in the skies that maybe might have been some new hardware from the Space Force.
Sadly, well, I mean, it was rainy and gross for a lot of the day that we were in that area. And much of it we were also like under tree cover because we had all this expensive camera equipment and stuff that we didn't want to ruin. So no. I wish I would have looked up, but
no problem. Well, listen, I just give a couple of quick thank yous, and we're going to take a look at some video footage from Right Side Broadcasting Network, which apparently purports to show some stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So Trisha Nordby said, thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for being here, Patricia, and thank you for the super chat. God's Guy says, again, help support this truth community. These patriots are under attack. Much censorship. Show the love. God bless you all. Thanks again for that, Guy. Nathan Scheil says, I came in late. I don't know. The young couple started a family, and she's right about the left. They have no God. Okay, excellent. No problem, Nathan. Thanks for being here, buddy. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this video. Unfortunately, it's not the actual feed from Right Side Broadcasting, but it's someone recording it on their television. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. And there is a couple of black things in the sky, and that is not a plane. It does not look to be a part of the fireworks, but it is something doing a dip. And it comes, oh my goodness, it comes down. I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Do it again.
Play it again.
Where's it at?
Hang on. I'm going to do this again. Okay, so.
I got your YouTube feed up, pulled up. So
all right, perfect. Okay, so there it is. Now, the way it falls, there's multiples, you know, so it could be caps from the mortars on the fireworks, but it looks like it's dropping, and then you can see it kind of like lazily goes out and then down. I don't know.
That looks like a piece of what's the word?
Material detritus.
Yeah, detritus. There you go.
There we go.
From exploded fireworks. That's what it looks like to me.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Hey, Moanon says love from PSB. Thanks for that, Moanon. Appreciate that, bud. So yeah, just going through here, watching the fireworks. Nobody says they saw anything. You know, I mean, I don't know anything about this account. I don't know anything about the legitimacy of it. But many of these accounts that we can't specifically verify the information, I still find it interesting to take a look at it, you know, because even if maybe they're just like us and they're just, taking a guess at something, but you got to use discernment, you got to look and pick through the information and then find the stuff that, seems that it's right for you. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, guys, is this post from, looks like it was probably on 4chan. This was from Friday at 3:29. Now, I had several people send this over to me right after it was posted. It says, I am a film editor for Fox News. Tomorrow, during the Tucker Carlson interview, Trump talks about aliens with Tucker. It is not a one-off conversation, but an entire segment devoted to it. Trump admits that aliens are real, but then proceeds to talk about how the Navy pilots are fine men. Tucker keeps pushing him back on the subject, though, and one part was interesting. Tucker asks him, why do you believe they are in hiding? Trump, I don't know. Maybe they think we're crazy, and then laughs. Tucker, if they are hiding, when do you think they will reveal themselves? Trump says, I don't know. I guess we will have to wait and see, won't we? And then gives a smirk. Tucker asks, so just to be clear, you think that aliens are real and that we will just have to wait and see when they reveal themselves? Trump says, maybe. We will find out, won't we? Wow is right. This interview may be our biggest interview ever. Now, the Tucker and Trump segment was actually released later that night. And Tucker and Trump did touch on the subject of UFOs. I guess that recently Tucker had a U.S. Army general or a former general that was on and said that the U.S. government has the wreckage of an unidentified flying object. So and again, folks, I'm not saying that this post is legitimate. What I'm saying is that I thought it was interesting that it was posted earlier in the day. And then later in the day when Tucker aired, there actually was a conversation about the idea of extraterrestrials and UFOs. But it wasn't the same, so maybe perhaps this was an actual producer or an editor, someone who works at Fox News, and they thought it would be funny to troll us, to put this out there and then see who bit, But either way, the universe is, for all intents and purposes, infinite, okay? And I believe that the hand of God is very powerful. There are things seen and unseen that God has created that, I'm not going to rule something out because I don't have physical proof of it. My mind is always open, basically, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's see. Also, Filled with Hope just says, I feel like I've held my breath for months. I appreciate having this crew every weekend. Thank you all for what you do. Well, thank you very much for saying that. I can certainly empathize with that sentiment because we were talking last night. This can be a lonely gig. When it's great that you guys are married because you have each other to talk to about this stuff. The person that you love and cherish the most is there with you all the time, and you can be 100% honest about how you feel about politics, about what's happening in the world. Not everybody has that luxury, and oftentimes you find that when you try to bring the truth to people in your personal life, whether it's work or family, you can get shut down. You can get rejected on that notion pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No doubt.
That's true. But it's also, difficult when you do this together because, it's a high pace, high stress thing. And you can also be sometimes your own worst, critic and hard on each other. We're both kind of perfectionists and stuff. And we have our weird idiosyncrasies, but,
And the other thing is like our work life and our personal life, like both of those, we spend all that time with each other, and it's like I said, it's not for everyone. Don't be jealous of us. It takes a very special couple to do what we do. Don't be jealous. It is not an easy life.
There's sacrifices. Yeah. I mean, the time that you actually get to spend together. We've hardly had a day off since we started doing this, and
oh yeah,
it can be difficult to take a break and put your
the electronics away.
The other side of what we do, though, is, you know, as you said, we have each other, and we have each other's support in all that we do. And not only that, we have, I mean, that's tiny compared to what we have with you know, this massive team of people that work with us day in and day out and make the channel what it is. We have that kind of this group that's able to support each other and kind of drive each other to do better, and
That's right.
It's just awesome. Really lucky. Really lucky.
Someone mentioned in a super chat, Nancy Kaya 75, she said PBS video of fireworks shows a triangle craft at 3:42. I don't know if this is the right video, because this video is an hour and 32 minutes long. And right there at the very end, there are some fireworks, but I'm just going to go ahead and play this silently in the background as we're discussing this stuff. Oops, that was the wrong one. There we go. Theater mode. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have the stream pulled up so you can see this, but there's some fireworks. There's definitely some fireworks, but you know, I'm not holding my breath, but hopefully there is something. Ben Schwagel just said, I need a favor. I am LDS Mormon, and I would like someone to look into the LDS church to see if they are connected. I'm hearing rumors about corruption at the top from outside, but I don't see it from the inside. LDS members are very good people. Unfortunately, I, too, have heard a lot of horrible things about the leadership in the LDS church, and specifically, it's been about MK Ultra type stuff. Donnie and Marie Osmond, I was told by a source that I trust, that they were in some type of mind control program. This person actually worked with their cousin, okay? So very, very close to the family, knowing what's going on there. And there have been reports about other people who have come forward who were also LDS members and also musicians, traveling musicians, and then they themselves were involved in this type of MK stuff, you know?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So very, very disturbing. You know, I mean, like I said earlier, the corruption extends far and wide. You know, it's tough to think about, but unfortunately, you know, it is probably something that has been close to each and every one of us throughout most of our lives, if not our entire life. You know,
that's right.
You know,
and the MK Ultra stuff is a lot more, I think, widespread than people realize. A lot of that stuff came from the occult, from the mystery religions. You know, that's how I look at it. I mean, it's very bizarre when you research sort of the intelligence community as well. Also has its foundations in the occult. It's very odd. And then you think about like what this is. It is a Black Mirror.
All right, so Cindy W. said, Donnie and Marie from the 1970s, good heavens, that doesn't qualify as looking into it. Your legitimacy is in the dirt. I'm not saying that I was looking into it. We're going to have somebody look into it, I'm sure, but that's not this program, okay? I was just telling an anecdote, all right? Sorry about that, Cindy. Danette Booth said, we've known about E.T. forever already. Winky face. Thank you for that, Danette. Appreciate it. I do have something that I can verify pulled up in front of me just for everybody. U.S. Marines tweet says Judgment Day today. Gunnery Sergeant Antoine D. Ansley, drill master with 3rd Recruit Training Battalion, inspects recruits with India Company during a final drill evaluation at MCR DSD. This was posted at 8 p.m. tonight. When was the announcement made that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested? That was published at 8:01 p.m. Wow. That's pretty interesting. Close.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Very cool. Ben Schwagel said, there are lots of stars that are LDS members. We call them part of us, but now I wonder. Yeah, you know, and like I said earlier, use discernment, guys. Do your own research. Even if I find something here on this show and I bring it to you, I still want you guys to go look it up. I want you to, you know, do your own digging and then come back to me and tell me more stuff, because the very nature of the 24-hour news cycle, it means that there's no way we can figure everything out. I mean, like, I am doing this every single day. I recently had to take a couple days off because I was very sick. But, that's the first time in a long time that I've missed a show. I'm usually here grinding it out every single day. And anytime that people send me tips, I really appreciate it. I get hundreds of messages a day. Like, there's no way for me to respond to everybody, and I hope that people understand that. And I'm still catching up on my messages from when I was sick earlier this week. But you do your best. I mean, you guys, I know that you have a team. The Patriot Soapbox is a team, but I mean, you're working on your own for all intents and purposes. You guys work from your house. It's you guys. It's just you guys. It's the same way with me. It's just me in my house, putting this together, trying to bring truth to the masses, doing what I can.
That's right. It can be very difficult. It can be a very hard and lonely existence. There's, the people that think that, I don't know, that we're all making a bunch of money and like living it up. It's such a joke. And the threats that you get, the death threats, the constant like nonsense, the attempts to infiltrate. I mean, it really is. I wouldn't choose to do it. I mean, maybe I would, but I didn't. You kind of just like did it, and it was like, no.
Yeah, she didn't really have a say in the matter.
You didn't really have a choice.
Yeah.
It
was my fault.
I don't know about you guys, but I mean, like, I have to force myself to unplug. Like, like, I only allow myself to be online so much from the day, because if I could be online for a full 24 hours, I mean, like, that's just the nature of this stuff. It takes several hours to record a video. It takes several hours to edit it and then make, all of the artwork for it and then put it out. It's painstaking work. But then I have my daughter, I have my household, I have my dogs, and my cats. Okay. I love my cats, but they're a little less maintenance than the dogs. I mean, I could literally spend, 6 hours a day just going through messages, I mean, in between Twitter and my email and, comments on YouTube. When I first started, I don't know about you guys, but when I first started, I felt obligated to like make sure that I read and responded to every single message that I got. Did you guys feel like that at first, or was it just immediately overwhelming?
No, I mean, I think that when you first started doing this, how many, it wasn't at first 24/7, but people just, I don't know, it's interesting. So you just kind of get into it and never leave.
Man, all that work it takes. Imagine streaming 24 hours a day.
Yeah, no, that's
insane when I think about it. It's like the craziest thing.
Yeah, it really is.
It's nuts, man.
Here's an interesting picture that Hulkinator sent over. It looks to me like it's a digital.
Oh, that's so cute.
Photoshop, but yeah, I thought that was nice.
Oh, look at that!
I thought that was cute.
That's definitely.
Great. Thank you for sending that over, Hulkinator. Good guy there. Yeah. Let's talk about these earthquakes a little bit. I mean, we talked about it a little bit before, but we didn't mention the activity at Yellowstone. I mean, this is one of the things that Dutch Since was talking about himself, is that there's been some increased seismic activity at Yellowstone. Have you guys heard anything about this?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it, that there's been increased activity and they don't really know why. And, I don't either. It's not my forte, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a seismologist by any means, but, I mean, with the way that everything is nowadays, having access to stuff on the internet, I mean, you can go, isn't it just like a USGS website, and you can take a look at these seismograph readings and check it out. The thing that I would assume is that I know that there is a lot of volcanic activity there. The Earth it's all one thing. So you've got the tectonic plate movement, which is caused by magma and volcanic activity under the plates. So whatever is pushing up through Yellowstone is probably also part of the same system that would be pushing up on that plate system that's right there in California.
Right. Well, the other thing is there's all these rat lines too. We know that. We know about the deep underground military bases. There's I think a lot going on that is very interesting, I guess. I was following this and well, I just lost what I was gonna say. Sorry.
No problem. David Munyon said LDS Church attacked for the same reason as Q. Truth. I mean, and I don't want anybody to think that I am attacking the Church of Latter-day Saints or any church. I think my only point is that corruption knows no bounds. I mean, there are people who are corrupt at every single level of power structure in the world. You would be hard pressed to go anywhere where people hold some type of power and not find at least one or two corrupt individuals. I mean, whether it's local, statewide, federal. I mean, and certainly in churches. I mean, and just in the same way that if I talk about corruption and the horrible crimes of the leadership of the Catholic Church, I'm not condemning Catholics. I'm not condemning people who have their faith along those lines. And because I mean, the truth is, it's not just the Catholic Church. This is an epidemic. The victimization and the crimes against children. It's endemic across all lines. Okay, it doesn't matter.
What does the Lord say about sacred cows?
Again, don't bow to them, I believe.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. I think it's a lot of these. Organizations are corrupted, and a lot of the Catholic Church has been totally converged since Vatican II, with the global homo agenda. So, you can make of that what you will. I remembered I was talking about, though, what I was going to say. These earthquakes, just reminded me of the bizarre stuff with the California wildfires. And I saw somebody had made a comment earlier in there, in the live chat about the just theory of directed energy weapons being used for some of these wildfires that were burning through California, and they would leave like the trees would not be burned, but the houses would just be like ash.
Yeah.
Right.
I definitely was following that pretty closely, and it's unnatural the way that people's homes and their cars would be absolutely incinerated. But then, the trees, the things that you would expect to be burning in a wildfire were completely untouched.
That's right. And, the more I look into it, the directed energy thing, I mean, it's an interesting theory. Like, we know there's rogue nuclear states out there, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have to ask ourselves, what happened on 9/11, though? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if that was rigged beforehand or if there was some kind of directed energy weapon used. But, since then, I think there's been a lot going on. And
well, I mean, I saw photos from not only the Paradise fires, but the wildfires from the year before, which clearly looked like they were dews. I mean, lasers coming out of the sky. I mean, people, not just a picture, but I mean, a video. Someone who's actually, I mean, they're filming a fire, and all of a sudden there's a shot, a bolt of light that comes out of the sky.
And why is Space Force so important? It would make sense if there was a rogue nuclear state that had space-based directed energy weapons. You would maybe need a Space Force to combat that.
Oh, I firmly believe that is part of it. I mean, we had, those posts about the satellites being taken out. Mm-hmm. I mean, tremendous power from the skies. The cabal would be able to manipulate so much with all of those satellites, not only for communication, but that was one of the first things I thought was directed energy weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
yeah.
Someone had commented in the chat about Jeb Bush's tweet and asked if it was confirmed. I mean, I can confirm it, and we've got an article here from the Gateway Pundit. This is Jeb Bush's tweet. 3 presidents die on July 4th. Just a coincidence. No, not a coincidence. I think that maybe it's possible that one of these presidents died on July 4th. But there was another thing that took place on July 4th I saw on some other show, and I can't remember what it was. I'm sorry, I lost it.
Was it the Netanyahu tweet? Was that? I never even confirmed that, but I saw it with the JFK
yes.
picture. I thought that was a little odd, especially when you start looking more at JFK and start to look at the timeline of when certain countries were becoming rogue nuclear states. And
I did notice that. I definitely noticed that. But for anybody who hasn't seen this, Jeb Bush posted this tweet on July 4th, and it was an article which, in my view, was looking to kind of insinuate that there was a form of divine intervention with these presidents who passed away on July 4th. You know, like they had lived through giving birth to this country, and then it was their destiny to pass away on July 4th, and that was, you know, what they wanted. But, you know, I think it's very possible that they were, you know, they could have been assassinated. You know, I mean, two of our founding fathers dying on the same day, the same July 4th. You know, I mean, I could see that easily as being some type of revenge from the Queen.
It's actually a pretty interesting story if you don't know it.
Yeah.
I forget who it was. Jefferson and I think Adams.
We'll go to it.
But they both died. They died within hours of each other. I would recommend everybody go look up the story of this. It's a quite an inspiring,
Adams, Jefferson,
patriotic story.
and Monroe. So Adams and Jefferson dying on the same day, and then Monroe dying in 1831. But you know, I mean, did you guys see this tweet from Jeb Bush when he made it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I was creeped out by it. I was like, and then of course the Bush donor and Trump donor dies, Chris Klein.
Oh, that's another story we're going to talk about. Yeah, that was. Where is the article? Trump donor. Yep, Trump donor from West Virginia among 7 Americans killed in copter crash in the Bahamas. What do you have knowledge about this story? You can speak on it, Radix?
No, I've just started looking into it, and I saw that they were saying his daughter was on the helicopter. There was some kind of treatment for her, which I thought was weird because, and I haven't confirmed any of this, but I heard a story about Eric Schmidt and his daughter coming with him to North Korea. So you have to wonder, I mean, if some of these diseases can be engineered in a lab, could they hold people's children hostage? I don't know. It's a theory. I just thought that was strange.
Definitely strange. That picture that you sent over said that they were flying her. I don't know if she was being flown to the Bahamas for an operation or some type of medical procedure, or if she was being flown from the Bahamas back to the United States for a medical procedure. But, you know, it immediately called to mind, you know, the many mysterious helicopter crashes that we've seen in the last 2 years. Helicopter crashes, and then also the, you know, single-engine plane crashes that seem to...
The Boeings, right. The military accidents.
Yep. Let's see. David Munyon said, trees don't burn from the inside out naturally. That's correct. That was one of the most compelling things from those California fires. You know, witnessing a tree that had the bark completely intact all the way around and it just burning from the inside out. That is not natural. And
I thought that's how all trees burned. You mean to tell me all this time?
Yeah, somebody's been lying to you, Pam. Nathan Shiles said, I think because of the Air Force cabal, Trump needs to counter it with the Space Force. Yeah, I think that definitely President Trump has, you know, a major contingency of holdovers inside the government, you know, and then each of the areas of the armed forces. So that, you know, it's become necessary. And this is something that I've talked about on the program before, a theory, speculation, that the Space Force is more than just, you know, just a new branch of the military in space. You know, this is Trump's personal outfit. You know, this is a new branch of the armed forces that he is going to have, you know, some type of direct control over. It's going to allow for the disclosure of a lot of things that have been kept secret from the United States and our people. You know, I mean, we know that anytime the military or, you know, a private company brings out a new technology, you can bet that the government has already been using that for at least 30 years, probably. You know, and they were doing a lot of work on anti-gravity way back in the 50s and the 60s. So, you know, don't tell me that we don't have the ability to do this stuff. You know, they are only now coming out with things. You know, gas mileage essentially hasn't changed on cars since the 1970s.
What's up with that?
Yeah, what's up with that? You know, they can't figure this stuff out, you know, and all they do is make it more complicated. And you know, every time there is, you know, a new advancement in automobile technology, they're just making it more difficult for people to work on a car themselves. You know, I mean, everything is computerized now. You know, I mean, I used to do everything myself. I was able to do it. I'm mechanically inclined that way, but I don't know how to work with like circuits.
I refuse to purchase cars made after a certain date because I'm not trying to get Hastings. I don't know about you. I'm not trying to get Michael Hastings. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't drive anything fancy, so I can certainly appreciate that. But yeah, that's a good point. You know, I mean, I think that people in our specific line of work, anybody who's out there looking at the truth and trying to research uncomfortable subjects and uncomfortable truths, they put themselves in harm's way. You know, I think that it's gotten a lot better. You know, but I mean, like, you know, you said Hastings. I don't want to get Breitbarted either. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's right.
Amen to that. I mean, it's a serious concern, man. Doing what we do. We're a big threat on you and me and all of you all out there. We're a massive threat. Massive.
Yes.
Make no mistake.
That's the real part of it is that, you know, it's like the sleeper has awakened. You know, the American public is more awake now than they ever have been at any time in the past. And the internet backfired on them. You know, I mean, I think that they thought that the internet was going to be their ticket to control us. And for a time it was. But then people were able to begin using it against the cabal, take their tools and use it against them, like, you know, Q-Team has said in the past. Kevin Van Story, real quick, said Christian group files formal public complaint and charges against Hillary Rodham Clinton. Have you guys heard about that?
No. That's interesting.
Hold on, where is this?
Let's see. Let's do a search. Christian group charges Hillary Clinton. See if anything comes up. That's from April. Let me see if I can do settings. Let's see. Data. Normally I use DuckDuckGo. I haven't set it yet here. We'll go to DuckDuckGo. See if I can find something. And let's go from the past week. Nope, not finding anything. If anyone has a link on that, please feel free to drop that in the chat there. I would love to get more information on it.
Yep.
You got a puppy there?
Cat.
No, that's the
Cat's running around yelling at us.
They have personalities, you know.
That's great. I've got a Maine Coon, which has like a really like she's like, you know, like a big gray jelly bean with long fur, you know, like she's big. And then my other cat is she's a Seal Point Siamese, so very vocal. Many times I've been on the broadcast and she came walking into the room and just started screaming until I picked her up. But she likes to hang out on my shoulders while I'm doing. Yeah, because somebody said Juliet's thoughts said colluding cats. One time the dogs were. I said the dogs were colluding to ruin the show. They were barking in the background.
That's cute.
Bobo.
Now, you know, how about this, guys? Down in Florida, I hear that there was an explosion at a shopping plaza and 21 people were injured. Is that anywhere on your radar? Did you guys hear about this?
No.
It was Plantation, Florida. Apparently, it's a vacant pizza. Well, wow, that's weird already.
Oh.
A vacant pizza restaurant.
No way. What?
Yeah, in a thundering roar at a South Florida shopping plaza, injuring more than 20 people as large chunks of concrete flew through the air.
You know what's weird about that? There was this pizza place on Lake Avenue that no one was ever inside, and we always thought it was like a mafia place because they'd have like occasionally you'd see people in there, but it wouldn't be open. Like you couldn't open the door. They would have private parties or something.
Somebody in the chat said that it was in Broward County. This is in Plantation, Florida. Do you guys know if Plantation, Florida is Broward County?
No, I don't think that's Broward.
Okay.
Plantation's in the area, though.
Well, it's in that area, but it's on the other side, I thought.
Well,
also differentiate left and right good for directions.
If you can see there on your screen, if you still got the stream open, there's a picture of a lot of debris and a firefighter walking through that field of debris.
Oh my God!
Yeah, pretty big explosion. You can see. Oh, there it is,
Whoa.
right there. Look at that. That is a huge section of that building just completely blown apart. So I mean, like, here's my question: if this was a gas leak, all right, how did I mean, gas leaks are usually like people like leaving a burner on or something like that. But if the pizza restaurant's not being used, if nobody's working there,
wasn't there just a house that exploded in the same manner today?
I did not
earlier
hear that.
today.
Let's see. Let's go ahead and do a search here.
Could have sworn.
Was that in Florida?
Someone in your chat will know. I could have sworn I heard about this.
Home
it was a house
explosion.
Residence.
Let's see. Well, the injured count is up to 23 people now. But it looks like all of the stories are about the shopping center.
House in North Carolina on Tuesday.
Okay.
According to your chat. House in Charlotte.
All right. And they say somebody says a
massive. It was a big explosion, just like this one.
Very strange. Kevin Van Story says, "What's your email address?" And I can send the link. It's in Newsweek. Okay, thank you, Kevin. It's redpill78@protonmail.com. Or you can also send it to me on Twitter. I have Twitter open right now, and that's also @redpill78. Let's see here. So just very strange, very strange.
The other thing that we really have to consider is the technology problem, because I feel like they want us all in our own separate tech ghettos. I didn't know about your channel for a while, and I'm like, how many others are there that I don't know about? Where they're just trying to keep us like in our own little like echo chambers, and that's an issue. And
both technologically and it's interesting. It took so long for you and me and some others to talk with each other. It's like there were operations run on us as a movement in order to sow distrust and discord amongst all of us and keep us from working with each other and getting to know each other.
I totally think so,
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's not to say that certain people don't have, bad intentions, but I mean, I think that again, that's up to your own personal discernment, I mean, everyone watching the show might not agree with every guest that I have on every time, but that's okay. I mean, like, I am all about diversity of opinion, and I'm all about people, giving me the ideas for guests that they want to hear on the show, I mean, because it's very possible that I would, perhaps run across somebody that I've never heard of, but, I think that the problem you just mentioned is uniquely inherent in this anonymous world that we live in, the kinds of research that we're doing, the things that we're looking into. It can harden you, I mean, it can isolate you, not only because of the controversial nature of the things that we're talking about, but also, just the horror of it, to be, once you realize like fully what's going on, I've, me personally, I consider myself being red pilled since I was about 10 years old. I mean, like, I always had this feeling that things were not what they seemed. But I mean, I talked about this a little bit on your show. My mom actually corrected me. The book was called something about the assassins, but it was about the people behind that horrible day in Dallas and the loss of our president, JFK. But when I saw that and I saw the evidence about it, it really, really like pushed me into the direction that, where I am now, because I realizing that a U.S. president could be taken out by his own people, by people that are supposed to be your allies. I was so young, I still thought that there was like inherent good. People in authority are people you're supposed to trust and respect. what a culture shock, and then you get to a certain point, and then of course, we talked about what happened in New York, and each of these successive events, every single time there's something that happens, it's gotten worse and worse, I mean, like not only the types of things that have happened, but the disinformation narrative that gets played over everything, the ability for these people to deliver propaganda. It got to a point for me where during the last presidential administration, I thought that it was done for. I thought that America was over. We've lost. There's no way to get it back to a semblance of normalcy and decency.
I thought that too.
Yeah, but once President Trump was elected, something changed. It's like
that night.
That's right.
Remember me dancing around the house at like 2:00 in the morning? She's trying to sleep, and I'm like, I'm partying. Oh my gosh, it was ecstatic.
Well, I always believed both sides were bought and paid for.
Yeah.
That much had been obvious since at least Reagan. So I figured they already had, would rig it so that he could not win. And then when he did, I was so surprised. And I've been surprised by him ever since. The president actually fascinates me.
I am fascinated.
Not in a creepy way.
No. It's a positive way. I'm fascinated by the president too. Donald Trump is a complete outlier. He was not supposed to win, but for all intents and purposes, they did, everything they could to make sure that he would not be successful. And
it's not just that, though. Go back like 20, 30 years, listen to what he's saying and listen to him now. He has not changed. So you can see, like, money and fame does things to people. You can see people in this movement who have gotten big heads and stuff. And so for somebody, honey,
I didn't break anything. What?
For somebody that has been around the kind of power and wealth he's been around, and to, I think, maintain that integrity and maintain your soul says a lot.
I agree. I've always said that President Trump, people like to point to the fact that he is wealthy, privileged. He's part of this crew of people that we are actively fighting against. But I think that President Trump has existed among these people. He has never become them. And I think that that's what makes him special. He's witnessed their machinations, the way they work, the types of things that they do. And he plays the game. After he was elected, when he said that the Clintons were good people, people's heads exploded. Okay. But I knew at the time that President Trump was playing the game. He had to say that because he wanted the Clintons to rest on their laurels, okay? They had to think that they were safe, that President Trump would never come after them, because that allowed them to move forward with the next phase of their plan, to continue to try to take him out, to implement a coup here in America, and it was unsuccessful, and we were gathering intelligence and evidence on these people the entire time. If they would have thought from day one that President Trump and a strong attorney general and the DOJ were going to come after them, game over. They would have destroyed all the evidence.
It was more than that, though. What's starting to come out now is the lengths that they went to try to set him up. And so you have to consider the theory that they could have had these pardons or whatever. Obama could have done these last-minute pardons. But the more that we're looking into, for example, Samantha Power's emails.
Yes.
We see they were changing the raw signals intelligence at the end there. Then they had deleted, I think, going back to 2004, all the videos on the ICE website. I mean, this is like serious stuff. The speeches that were given by ICE people in 2014 saying there's a crisis at the border. You can see how they tried to put roadblocks in his way, and he had to navigate through this. And I think that's why it's playing out the way that it is. He had to get through these roadblocks that were put in his way, in his path, and they're still there. They're still, I'm sure they've got assets still.
They've got contingency plans on contingency plans on contingency plans. And, again, this goes back to the timeline here. It has to play out this way. These people have been in power and have been setting up these contingency plans for, decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years probably. They've been able to maintain power all this time, not just because they're lucky, but because they were pretty intelligent about the way that they set all this stuff up. Real quick, Nathan Shiles said, you were talking about gas mileage. It has come a long way. We have a 1979 Continental that gets 13 highway and a 93 Cadillac full-size 22 highway. I think I'm good. I don't have new. It all goes to my house. I was speaking... and I think that Pam was too. We were speaking, respectfully with the amount of progress that has happened with gas mileage. It's been 40 years since that car came out, Nathan, and we might have had an increase of 10 miles per gallon on average. We all know that the amount of efficiency that you can get out of an engine should be far, far, far beyond that right now. We should be able to have cars that get upwards of 100 miles per gallon if we're talking about gasoline, or they could be doing something else, another form of propulsion. It doesn't have to be gasoline. Tesla had an electric car back in the 1910s, that went 60 miles an hour. They killed it. They used to have light bulbs that would last for 100 years. There's one light bulb in New England in a fire station that's still burning from like 1898.
But can't make money off that.
Nope, exactly. Planned obsolescence. It's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this goes back to, the medical thing that we were talking about initially. There's no money in a cure. There's only money in treatment and in getting people hooked on those treatments. It is savage, in my opinion. It really saddens me when you think about how much progress we could have made here in this country and across the globe when you think about the things that have been suppressed, the things that have been stifled. I understand that industry has to make money, okay, but keep evolving, come up with a better idea, actually put it out there and people will buy it. And then we'll be able to evolve to another stage in societal evolution.
That's right.
Yep.
It's terrible. Also, Life's a Beach said, where we go, one we go all. Thank you for that super chat. And Kevin Van Story, thank you, Kevin, did send over that Newsweek article. Newsweek says that right-wing activists file formal complaint with Hillary Clinton's local police department demanding her arrest. What is this about?
Interesting.
So it's filed a formal complaint with the Newcastle Police Department in New York, calling for criminal charges to be brought against a notable area resident, former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. What is this about? Members from the Equal Justice Tour, a group of radical right-wing activists, let's be honest, all you have to do is be a centrist, and you're going to be called a radical right-wing activist by the mainstream media nowadays. They are advocating for the arrest of Clinton based on what? So they live-streamed a video and depicted a member of the group handing over the documents to an officer. What is the crime? Not to say that Hillary Clinton doesn't have many crimes that she could be charged with, but what are they trying to get her arrested for? For Clinton's alleged private email server crimes occurred at her home in Pkwy. Well, I believe that would be a federal issue. So although this is, it's great in with the idea of it, I think that Hillary Clinton is going to pay for her crimes, but again, I think that there was a lot of monkey business that went on in the former Attorney General, the former DOJ, the former FBI, and it was necessary to clean those organizations up. So that they could get in good leadership, they could get in good people who were going to prosecute these cases and actually investigate these cases. And I also think that it was very necessary to scoop up maybe some smaller fish so that they could then have that accountability roll uphill based on those arrests.
Yeah.
Somebody said, Juliet, it's pronounced Chappaqua.
Actually.
Thank you, though. Thank you. I know I've said it wrong many times. It was funny when Neon Revolt was on, and we were doing. I had some questions from Giulio Occhianero, who was the Italian Spygate guy that had reached out to Neon first. I don't speak Italian, and normally it's not that big of a deal because it's just me recording it myself, but Neon actually speaks Italian, so like his diction and his pronunciation was far greater than mine. I thought it was pretty funny. Yep, and Gamer49, that's right. We have spoken multiple times about the fact that Epstein was arrested. I have no problem going out on a high note, though, because it is 10:59. You guys, thank you so much for being here with me tonight, with the audience. I do appreciate the conversation. What do you want to leave the audience with? We know that we can find you at Patriot Soapbox on Twitter. And then also hashtag We the People 24/7 Patriots Soapbox stream. And any other things that you guys want to leave us with?
Yeah, it's not necessarily about us, but there's so many other people on the soapbox. You know, I don't.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to leave it with. Was like the past couple hours may have seemed like it's about us, but
no,
there's so much more to what PSB does and what it's about. So don't anyone get all like, oh, they're making it about them. It's we are but the faces. All right, PSB is what it is, and it is loved by so many because of all of the other people that
keep it going.
Just keep it running
exactly.
Day in and day out.
Soko. Can't do it without Soko.
That's
bingo.
Right.
Yeah, and she's not in the audience tonight. I can't believe that. I didn't see her here tonight.
She's probably exhausted.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
I mean, she was here for the 4th too. So
yeah, no problem.
But yeah, it's thanks to those people, and you know, we're an incredibly unique. I was thinking the other day, like we are, if you think about it, the most prolific YouTube channel ever. Like over the course of a year, we were live 24 hours a day, no reruns, pumping out content around the clock for over a year. That is an insane amount of work, an insane amount of effort on the part of some incredible people, and it's just I think my point is we're just incredibly blessed and just really lucky.
And always evolving too, you know. I mean, this is an active project. One of the reasons that I want to say that I think you guys are so important is because of the nature of that 24-hour news cycle. You know, the propaganda machine is pushing stuff out every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I don't know of any other channel out there that's able to do that.
That's the exact reason that we started it.
Counter propaganda.
Target. And we don't shirk away from any topic. We don't shirk away from controversy, but we also don't fall for the traps. So
right.
Well, I mean, we're not perfect. It's
not perfect.
But
no, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. All right, guys, we are over time. 11:01. People are saying they got to go watch Judge Janine. I can totally appreciate that. So I just want to say once again, thank you both for being here. Thank you, everyone, for watching tonight. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News for Saturday Night Livestream with Pam and Radix. Thank you so much, everyone. Good luck, and God bless.